Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's set the mood with some chakra, siete chakra incense. This thing smells so good. Siete. 7 chakra. Hold on, let me grab a lighter. This is going to be a really interesting video, by the way. And you guys who are watching me live on Facebook, feel free to chime in and ask your questions below. Drop your questions below. And I'll try to get to them. And the reason why I decided to do this video, it's not the first time I've done an impromptu Q&A video, but I decided to do this video because I am always inundated with inbox messages from people, mostly men, but there have been some women who have been messaging me in my Facebook inbox and who leave comments on my videos, just always asking questions. So for this video, I have gathered a list of your questions that you have asked me and I haven't gotten to, and I'm going to address them here in the video all at once. So I think that hopefully I'm able to get to you guys' questions and you guys see this video. I think what it is though, and I'm going to multitask. So this is my breakfast. I'm breaking my fast and I am so hungry. And these beef patties are so delish, okay? They're so delicious. Mmm. So, you guys have questions, and I think what it is that I think it's not so much that you want the answer to the question, because I think the answer to a lot of y'all questions is like readily available on my Facebook page. If you truly want to get to know a person, all you have to do is just check out their Facebook page, especially if they are a vlogger. They make videos. Your answer is right there in your face on their page. So I don't think it's so much you guys wanting the answer. Some of you guys, I would say. I don't think that the reason why you guys hit me up and you ask me these questions, some of the questions are kind of personal. I don't think it's so much that you want the answer to the question as it is that you just want to connect with me. I think that's more so what it is. And I get it. I would consider myself a pretty cool person if you ask me. But I would actually prefer you guys to introduce yourself to me. Like, I think if you want to get to know a person, the best way to start a conversation with a person that you do not know is to simply introduce yourself. Like, just send a random inbox messaging, almost demanding that a person answer your questions. And you're kind of invading that person's privacy in a certain way, right? It's just like, and not their privacy, but just their time, their space, right? You're distracting me from what I was doing, as if what your question is that important that I should answer it. And some of y'all are like really persistent. Like, you insist that I answer your question via inbox. Like I said, mainly because you want to just connect with me. I don't usually connect with people in that way. So I make it very clear that if you want to connect with me, now is your time when I go live. But I understand that a live platform like this can be very intimidating for some people. And it makes them nervous. It's like they feel like they're being put on the spot. So, I get it. But that's the way to connect with me. And I make that very clear that that's how you connect with me. Now, like, if you have a question or a prompt for an idea for like a new video topic, then yeah, I encourage you guys to send me an email, which my email address isn't hard to find. And I will address your question, your thought, idea in my next video. But there is a disclaimer to that. There's a caveat to that. Alright, I'm not going to eat this entire thing. Though I definitely can right now. I can definitely eat this thing right now. I just might. So I got an email recently from someone. Well, I always get emails from people, but I got an email from someone wanting me to address something I've already talked about extensively. They want me to talk about it again. I'm like, how much can I talk about this one topic, yo? Let's move on to something different. I'm over talking about interracial cuckolding. I'm just over it, okay? I feel like it's played out at this point. I think that people just like to hear me talk about it, that's all. And they like to be seen and have their concerns addressed publicly. It makes them feel important or special. They're asking me questions I've already addressed. I'm like, just go back and watch your video. And there's one person recently said, oh, I just saw your video on ... And then they're talking about ... in the email, the same exact thing. They want me to talk about it some more. I'm just like, but you just saw my video on it. Go watch the video that you saw. I think I am going to finish this. It's so good. It's hard to put down. I think my personality shines through in my videos too. So that's another way you can get to know someone. Just look at them. You don't even gotta ask questions. Just look at them. Voila. There's the answer to your question. I'm almost done. Because the meat is almost done. I actually have this event that I'm going to go to today. This afternoon. I'm looking forward to it. I'm almost done. I do have a lot to say though in regard to your questions that you guys have sent me in my inbox. So I don't know how long this video is going to be. Just never know once I start talking. You just never know. I've been sleeping on beef patties, y'all. I had my very first jerk patty back in LA. And when I had it, it was like crumbly. I didn't like it. It was like breaking up. It was all crumbly and shit. But it was so delicious. Alright. Put this away. I think that it's funny, like, now that I'm just reflecting back. Honey, are you there? Yes, girl, I am back. I'm about to get into this video. I just had to put some food in my stomach. My breakfast. But I am here in full effect. How you doing, Sharonda? We're about to get into this video. But I reflect back on a comment that was made on one of my videos that I made in LA about Dr. Umar Johnson and could I be Dr. Umar Johnson's wife? And this person, this black man goes, yeah, if you use the Valley Girl act. And I've already addressed this already. And I think it's more of like a microaggression when people say that black people are talking white or acting white. The whole the Valley Girl phrase or idiom is basically, for you guys who don't know, it's just like acting proper, and it's relating to like out in LA, right, out in California, because there is a geographical area in California, or I would say areas, multiple areas, in the valley that are deemed to be like more high SES, high socioeconomic status, demographic, and you know, with high SES, yeah, people are going to talk proper. But I'm like, yo, this isn't an act. This is me, and has always been me, right? I wouldn't say that I was proper. I would say like, yo, I'm just very dynamic. To get to know me is just get to know me. I'm a very dynamic individual. And for people who truly do know me, like my family, know that you look so beautiful. So do I, but who's watching? You eating your breakfast too? So people who know me, like my family, right, my close relatives, know, like, they will tell you. They are the best people to tell you, especially my sister. And she called this out early on. She's like, you are different. Yeah, I'm a different personality. I'm a different person. It's not an act. This is just like, this is just who she is. And they'll say, she's odd, right? She's eccentric. She is just so much different than the average black girl or black woman. I'm just very unique. And that's my sister's name, by the way. Her name is Unique. Oh, you're 4 hours behind, so you're just waking. Oh, Grand Rising. But yeah, I laugh at that. The idea that this is an act, or the way I speak is an act, or whatever. No, it's not an act. I've always known my worth, and I always carry myself in a certain way. And I'll share this one story, and then I'm going to go into the questions, right? I've always had set boundaries for myself and who I am, and never let somebody try to step over me. I wouldn't call it acting prim or proper or whatever. I just always been very particular about me and my space, even when I was a little girl. So I grew up in a 2-parent household. It was my sister, who I share the same mother with. She has a different father. My sister's 3 years my senior. I had my own bedroom. in my house, the house that we grew up in. And my theme of my bedroom was Aladdin, because I just like Aladdin. You know, the movie is just, I need to get that movie. I don't know, is it on YouTube? But we do not act, we are just diabolical, hun. Diabolical? I want to say I'm diabolical. Unless I can balance that with being an empress and a goddess. Diabolical isn't a good attribute necessarily in and of itself. Everyone is going to love our presence. Everyone in the world. I respect you so much. I know, like, that's why I feel like we're like spiritual sisters. I like your energy too. I'm so glad when I can be with you. Aww. Respect. And one day we will probably meet in person. But my room was like Aladdin theme. Arabian Nights. I just love that whole entire movie, yo. I love the musical. I love everything about that movie. I like the characters. I just saw myself in the female character's shoes. Like, I like everything about that movie. But that's how my room was. My comforter, my blanket was Aladdin. My wall, the paint on my wall was the same color. It was like fuchsia, purple, pinkish. I had an Aladdin poster. There's everything Aladdin in my room. And I was very kind of OCD-ish. Very meticulous about my room. The placement of things in my room. Very organized, right? I would always, like when I get up in the morning, I will make my bed. This is just a ritual. And I still do that till this day. I get up in the morning, I make my bed, yo. Smooth out the wrinkles. And I did that, like, and I'm talking about, like, when I was younger. This was when I was, like, a little girl in grade school. I'm, like, 6 years old, 7 years old, making my bed religiously. Don't have to be told this. This is just who I am, because I like a clean space and organized. And my sister had her own separate room. But, of course, she liked to be in my room because my room is clean and it's inviting and it's just has this aura about it. And I had a rule that you cannot sit on my bed in my room. But if you want to sit on my bed, you have to ask me permission to sit on my bed. And my sister took it upon herself that, we're blood, like, we're sisters, like, I don't have to ask you to sit on your bed. And she sat on my bed deliberately, and it was an instinct. And I was like, how old was I? I don't know. I was 7, 8 years old. And out of just instinctually, like, my fists connected with her eye. Just, like, I swear, it was a split-second reaction. And she went into the bathroom. And I ran into the bathroom with her. And her eye was turning, like, blue and purple and black. And my initial reaction, my initial response was like, sorry, I'm so sorry. Please don't tell Mom. Please don't tell. Mom was very strict, right? And she's a disciplinarian in the household. And I knew I would get my ass beat by my mom if my sister told my mom. So I had to beg my sister, do not fucking tell my mother. Do not tell Mom. And so we had to come up with a lie of how my sister got her eye like that. And I think it was something like, I don't know, she bumped into the wall. Or she bumped into something, basically, right? Not that I fucking punched the shit out her ass for sitting on my bed. And she never did that shit ever again. She never sat on my, I'm like, sometimes that's what it takes, yo. It's just teaching a person a lesson that you're not to be fucked with, right? And I would say that, like, I am still very much the same person that I've been. Like, I have very firm boundaries, and that's just who I am. Like, if I ask you not to do something, don't fucking do it, okay? Don't play with me. Things will align when I come home, and there will be an Arabian theme we'll embark upon. Oh my I'm telling you, I was like, oh my gosh, yo. I didn't think I had that kind of power in my fist at such a young age, but I did. Which reminds me of another story. I have stories for days. It reminds me of another story, and I'm about to get into this Q&A. I actually have 14 questions that I'm going to answer here in this Q&A. and Sharonda, excuse me, feel free to drop your questions below. Anybody else who's watching live, feel free to drop your questions below. But it reminds me of another scenario, and I think I've told this story before. I was living out in Hollywood, California, and I was coming home. I worked actually in the Valley, and it was hot. I think it was during the summertime. LA is always hot though, year round. So I don't know what time of year it was, but it was hot as shit. The distance from where I lived in Hollywood, California to the Valley was a good distance by public transportation, like 2-hour distance. Well, probably an hour 45 minutes, something like that, right? Hour 30, hour 45 minutes by train and bus combined. So I was making my way back home, and I had left the train station at Hollywood and Vine, which I pretty much, where I lived was sandwiched between 2 train stations. So I could either take the Hollywood and Vine train station or the Hollywood and Highland train to get where I needed to go. And I lived in the middle between those 2 train stations. And that day I got out from the Hollywood and Vine train station, and I wanted to get some food, so I went by Popeyes, got me a bag of chicken. I'm walking across the street. I have the right of way, and there's this guy. I didn't even know it was a guy, first of all. I just know it was a car, right? It was a car that was rolling at the stop sign, and I'm crossing the street, and they did not stop. They did not stop. They kept rolling, and they were like, they pretty much touched me. They pretty much, I felt like my life was in danger, right? So out of nowhere, here's again, like my fist just went, bam, 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 I think 3 times. And I had the bag of chicken, in my hand as I was hitting the fucking windshield of this person's car. And like on the 3rd time, I backed up. I was like, oh my fucking gosh. I came back to and realized I had then shattered this person's entire windshield, And then the guy, he stopped his car. That's what made him stop the car. He fucking put his car in park. And he got out the car. He proceeded towards me, This motherfucker was tall as shit, like pushing 7 foot tall. And I ran, this is on Hollywood Boulevard. I ran into one of those tourist stores. And I was like, no, stop, I'm sorry. And then the owner saved me because he was telling the guy, he was like, come on, just leave it alone. Don't do it. And he was like, you break my windshield. I said, shit, you hit me. You pretty much hit me. I'm defending myself. He's protecting his fucking windshield. I'm like, you can go buy another windshield. But like, what the fuck? Why didn't you stop? You saw me. You got people drivers, they do not care. They do not care about a fucking pedestrian. They will hit your ass and keep going, and they know they're not in the right of way. It's like, no, you're not gonna do that shit to me, What the fuck? But I feel like that was such a knee-jerk reaction. Rightfully so. Like, I'm protecting myself. And that car stopped. That car stopped. I'm so glad to be with you this morning. Peace. So I'm just like, listen. Don't fuck with me. Do not fuck with me. All right, let's jump right into this. So tell me about yourself. I feel like I already told you guys about myself. There I am. No. If you guys go based on those 2 examples, it may come off as if I'm this very crazy person, scary monster. I can be, but no. Like, listen. So I would describe myself as being, I'm like very unusual. Like, I'm eclectic, I'm spiritual, deeply rooted. I think I do have like special senses, right? Special like spiritual abilities, which I already talked about in a previous video. I am sensitive, I'm strong, but this goes without saying, right? So those would be like the initial descriptors that how I would like describe like who am I? In the practical sense, I am the youngest of 5 sisters and 2 brothers. I grew up in Florida. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, by the way, which is like northeast Jacksonville, Florida. I was raised with my mother and my father. I was spoiled growing up by my dad. I got my way You absolutely have and do. What else? There's a lot of things about me. And this question I get asked a lot, like people that just inbox me randomly on Facebook. They be like, so tell me about yourself. And I'm just like, I don't have to answer that question. I don't even have to answer any inbox, period. I just find it to be an odd question. So, like, it's random. Random motherfuckers just message. Tell me about yourself. You're on my page. Here I am. Like, I make videos. Here I am. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird to me. And then even people, like, on the dating app, they say the same thing. So tell me about yourself. You introduce yourself to me. You came to me. You tell me about yourself. And then that's how we can start a conversation. I think that's the best way to start a conversation, especially in a dating scenario with men and women. Like, men, and I can make a whole separate video on this. If you want to get to know a woman, introduce yourself, right? Create a safe space where she feels comfortable enough to open up to you. You have to be the leader. So that means that you take the lead. You introduce yourself. You talk about yourself first, and then she will follow, right? That's just basic social skills, interpersonal skills, right? But they get stuck, and they sometimes complain to me, and I'm sure other women too, just talking about their negative dating experiences, like, oh, women, they don't have much to say, or they just come with these short responses, and it's just like, yeah, go figure. They don't know you. They're not entitled to give you this elaborate response about who they are, or to engage in a back and forth conversation with some complete stranger when you have not revealed not one thing about yourself. You have not shown any degree of vulnerability, but yet you expect these women to be vulnerable with you first. That's unfair. What happened to men just being chivalrous and taking the lead? Step out on faith, right? And if she doesn't respond to that, she doesn't respond well to that, then she's not for you anyway, right? But it works. It's effective form of communication. So, yes, that's me. On a practical sense, okay, I live in New York City. I work full-time now as a clinical psychologist at a hospital. I don't have any children. That can be a blessing. One of my colleagues at work, he told me that he doesn't have any children. He hasn't been blessed with the opportunity to have children. He has not been blessed. I'm like, maybe you have been blessed. He laughed. Like, it could be a blessing too. It could be a blessing and a curse, right? To be childless. It just depends on how you look at it. So I am childless as of now, but I do have a desire, an innate biological desire to have children, to procreate, and that's going to happen at some point. But as of now, no. And I am single. Yes, very much so. So that's me. All right, I want to go into some more questions. So what do I do for a living? I kind of already answered that. I'm a number of things, right? My primary role right now, I am a psychologist. And I work with and treat adult men who have severe mental illness. But that's just one role, right? That's how I look at it. It's not like who I am in terms of my professional identity in its totality, right? I'm multifaceted in my professional identity. I'm an entrepreneur, and I have other things that I'm also working on. I own a nonprofit literary organization called UBAWA, which stands for Urban Books, Authors and Writers of America. You guys can go check that out. I'm not here really to advertise it, but in case you just wanted to know. Of course, there's a website attached to that, ubawa.org. And I'm a writer, and I'm a creator, and I'm just a number of things. Just can't really put me into a box. I'm Danielle. At the end of the day, I'm Danielle. Where are you from? I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm not from New York, and I find it interesting, people's reaction when I say that. I'm not from here. They think I'm from here. I'm not. It's clear. It should be clear. I'm not. Do I look like one of these motherfuckers walking around here? No. But I noticed that, like, New York, you can tell a New Yorker obviously by their accent, but also I think by just the stress, right? Like just their presentation. It's just like it's difficult to live and be, or I would say be born and raised and live in such a brutal, fierce city as New York and go untouched, right? For it to not have a negative impact, negative and positive, right? Nothing is all negative, nothing is all bad, nothing is all good, right? For it to have like a impact on one's psyche, one's emotional well-being. So you can tell, that's what I say. A lot of New Yorkers are mean or short-tempered, right? Kind of quick to respond. They'll cut your ass off real quick, you know what I'm saying, and put you in your place like, right? You can tell. I think New York kind of has wore on me in that way somewhat. But I think it was not so much New York. I think it's just life in general, especially being from Florida. Like Florida and New York are kind of one and the same. When you think about it, it's just, people say, like, try to paint New York City as like this hood, this fierce city. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I'm just like, shit, you make it in fucking Florida, your ass can make it anywhere. Especially the city that I come from in Florida, which has a high murder rate. You say, you say you're diabolical. What is your definition? What is your meaning of diabolical? Everybody here thinks I'm from New York. My cousin from New Jersey is moving here in a week. Sharonda, remind me, you're from Alaska, right? Or you're living in Alaska, right? So yeah, like New Yorkers just are, what's the word? New Yorkers have been conditioned, kind of brittled by the experience just of the city, the culture of the city. You live in Alaska currently. How long you been out there in Alaska? So yeah, Jacksonville. Yeah, shit was okay. I could talk a little bit about like what Jacksonville was like living there, growing up there. I went to an all-black elementary school, middle school, high school. All of the schools that I went to were just like close to each other, right? All in the same area. Yeah, the elementary school here, boom. The middle school here, the high school, boom, there. Like all of there, like you see all of them from each other. And my middle school had like metal detectors. It was a lot of crime there, people fighting. It is what it is, growing up in a neighborhood, in this culture where it's high crime, it's poverty, it's all the bad shit, in the hood. Of course, you're going to see children coming to school with weapons, as young as fucking 11 years old, 12 years old, coming to school with knives and guns and using the locks, right, on their knuckles to fight, that's just the environment. So they put metal detectors like at the entranceway of our school. We had to pass through the metal detectors to make sure we didn't have any weapons, guns and knives and all of that. That was like my middle school, and we had to wear like clear backpacks and things like that. So that's just the way it was. It's like when you're in it and you grow up in it, it just seems normal. It's just like, all right, this is just what it is. This is normal. But then being my 38-year-old self looking back, it was just like, damn, when I have children, I send my child there? Hell, fuck no. And like part of me is like, well, maybe to get them, acclimated to just the real world, and this is how things are, right? So they ain't gonna grow up as no little bitch, right? But yeah, we'll see. My other New Jersey fam crying how they miss me. I gotta come. Girl, yes. And that's the thing. When I was out in LA, when I was doing my doctoral studies for those 4 years, from 2016 to 2020, I hadn't been to my hometown, Jacksonville, Florida, since 2015. And I returned 2021. So, it was so much had changed, right? And I felt kind of guilty. I felt bad. So yes, I would tell anybody, do not wait that long to go back home to see your people. Because things change. And yeah, our family needs us. They do, you know. But yeah, where I'm from, yeah, there's a lot of crime. You know, even like going out to clubs, right? As I got older, I would never really been the club type. But of course, I did go to clubs here and there, and same thing. It's just people go to clubs to fight. That's just how shit go down. People went to school to fight. You know, people didn't go to school to learn. They go to school to fucking fight as a fashion competition. You know, it was just that type of environment. People shooting at the club. Like you can expect every time you go to the club, it's going to be a shootout, right? Or a fight. It's going to be some violence happening. So that's where I'm from. So I laugh when I moved to New York, people are like, oh, you got to be careful. Going through neighborhoods, you got to make sure that you have protection. Get you some mace. I'm like, no, I don't know where I'm from. Like, I'm from the hood. I grew up, I've been around all of that kind of stuff. So I know how to maneuver and operate, and I'm good. I've always been good. Knock on wood, but I've always been protected going through whatever neighborhood in New York City. I'm good. I think that the common denominator is just showing respect. If you know how to respect other people, then you're going to be respected. And for the most part, I am respected when I go other places because I show respect to other people. Just common courtesy. Alright, what do I like to do for fun? This question is my biggest pet peeve that is asked on these dating sites. When I'm just like, what do I like to do? What does it got to do with us getting to know each other? And that's how I look at it. Because it's like, I feel like people should only ask questions that are relevant to the current conversation, right? And then at a stage when we don't even know each other, we're complete strangers, that's not a question you should ask. Ask that question when we are planning to go out and do something fun, right? Like, if we're actually planning a date, then say, oh, well, what are some ideas? Like, what do you like to do? What kind of things you want to do, right? That's when you do that. Not like, we're in the beginning phase, because I say this because I'm weeding your ass out. That's the point where I'm at when it comes to dating, and I get a message from a guy, I don't know who this guy is. I'm at the point, when my mind's working, is like, should I even respond? Number one, should I even continue talking to this person? Should I even entertain this person, right? And how I come to that decision is based on who the fuck he is. What does he share with me? How does he present? That's why I tell these guys, introduce yourself so I can get a feel of who you are. And a lot of them cannot do that. But I did get a message from this white man this morning. And I had to laugh when I read the message because he understood the assignment. My profile says, and it's sad that I have to even say this on my profile, but I say it clearly, like, please introduce yourself. I have to tell these men to introduce themselves because they don't know how to start a conversation. They don't even know what an introduction is. They be like, hey baby, hey beautiful, damn you got a fine body, damn you fine. Like, that's not an introduction. That's not a conversation starter. Not in my book. And if anything, to me, that's a turn off. And it's not about being able to accept compliments. Of course I can take a compliment. It's about, listen, I'm 38. I ain't got time with the bullshit. Let's cut to the chase, right? And so a lot of men fail to understand the assignment, and they fail to even understand what an introduction is. Because they think an introduction is limited to just them telling me their name. No, that's not an introduction. Tell me about yourself. It don't have to be no long drawn out essay or no long drawn out. No, it's just telling me, who are you? What reason should I have to connect with you, to respond to your initial inbox message? That's an introduction, right? Then I can have the right to choose. I have the ability to be able to choose if I want to proceed. But I did get an introduction this morning from this white guy. Now, physically, he is attractive. And I was going to make a video on dating white man versus black man, what's the big difference? I actually was going to do this video as that, but I'm like, they ain't ready. They ain't ready for that. I might come back another time to do that particular video on dating white man versus black man, what's the big difference, which I actually have done in the past. I think I did a 2-part series to that topic, which obviously a lot of black men didn't sit well with that. Even my ex, I'm like, yo, when I made the video, me and your ass wasn't even dating, okay? You was out the fucking picture anyway. So, why you mad? But that shit had pissed him the fuck off. And I was just putting it out there. But yeah, he understood the assignment. I think it just goes down to just basically knowing how to communicate. Having social skills. I hate to say it, I'm not saying all, but unfortunately, a lot of men just lack social skills. They don't know what to say, they don't know how to proceed. So that whole question as to what do I like to do for fun, I just find it to be so redundant and so irrelevant. Granted, on my profile, I actually share what I like to do for fun. Like, there's a space where you can talk about your interests, your hobbies, and I say that, right? My hobbies include, I like art, clearly. Clearly, like, I mean, I feel like it's just, I don't like being asked, like, stupid, redundant questions, right? It's clear what I like to do for fun. If I get on here and I'm showing you guys my paintings, I'm not fucking just doing this shit. I like to do it because this is what I like to do for fun. I am a writer. I like to write. Some things that may not be so apparent is, like, I like the outdoors. I like mountain climbing. I like hiking. I like tasting food. I like food, right? I like restaurant tasting. And I find it, like, I like museums, right? Which goes along with art and history. When I share these things, it's just like, then what? For me, I am a sapiosexual, so I like to have conversations, right? I like to share things that is going to build upon a conversation. I don't like to just be asked like 21 questions kind of shit, right? It doesn't go anywhere. We're just answering questions. Let's have a discourse, a back and forth conversation where not only I'm sharing things about myself, but I'm also learning things about you, right? It's a back and forth exchange, and we're actually connecting, right? There are moments of vulnerability, of openness throughout this discourse, right? It's not just fucking standard robotic questions being asked. No, I don't like that. So I do find that this particular question, what do I like to do for fun, is one of those questions, right? Because this is how it goes. It's like, okay, what do I like to do for fun? And then I say, right? And then what's next? you can't even build a conversation on that, right? Yeah, it doesn't go anywhere. I don't like questions that don't go anywhere. And even if my interests are similar to the guy's interests, it's like, who don't like to eat, right? So one of my fun things I like to do is going to restaurants, tasting out and trying out different restaurants and different foods. Who doesn't like to do that, right? A lot of people do. But you can't really build a conversation on that, right? So I digress. But I do like to travel too. I like to travel, and it's just like, these motherfuckers ain't on my level. But anyway, next question. When was your last relationship? So my last relationship actually ended in 2017. December 2017, which has been a while. And I feel great. I love the respect. Yes, it's all about respect, right? But yeah, I like being single. I think more than I like being in a relationship, being partnered. Because being single, hell, that's all about me, right? Whereas when you're in a relationship, it's not all about you, right? It's compromise, it's understanding, it's all that bullshit, right? It's being having patience. Not that I don't have it, but it's just all this shit, you know what I'm saying, that you gotta deal with in dating someone else and having someone else in your space, in your life. And I admit, like, my personality, one can say maybe I'm self-centered. But no, I'm not always self-centered, right? There's a part of me that I do care about other people. I am compassionate. I do think about other people and what they want. I've been that. If I wasn't able to do that, then I wouldn't have had relationships in the past that lasted for extended periods of time. So I've been in relationships. I made a video about this where sometimes people assume that, oh, I've been single all my life just because I say I'm single. No, it's not the case. Hell, I've been partnered over half of my adult life, and those partnerships, I actually live with those guys. Woke up every fucking day and shared space with these three different people. So I know what it's like to cater, to nurture, like to attend to a person, and so yes, I feel very much at peace. Just being alone, being in my own space, being the only person who shits on my toilet, making my own independent decisions, just being able to just go out and just do what the fuck I want to do, right? It's like when you're like in a relationship and it's like deep, right? And you're established with this person, it's just like the checking in and the this and like, I feel like unless it serves a purpose, unless like I'm getting something from that, right? Like the whole idea about checking in with the person. I don't have to check in with no goddamn body. I just go out and be and live my life. But yeah, unless it serves a purpose where I feel like, okay, the checking in is going to benefit me. But yeah, I've been single for so long. I think being in a relationship is kind of unnerving at this point. The idea even as much as, you know, it's just, it feels kind of scary. And I think beyond the idea, even when I take it to the step where a guy can make it to that step of getting my phone number and we actually set up a date in person, right? In-person date. It gets to that point. It feels kind of weird. It feels very weird to be on a date with some guy. Not that I can't, because I can relate to people. This is what I do, obviously, for a living as a psychologist. But it feels weird. And I'm always observant. I'm always analyzing things, right? And that's just always been me. Apart from me being a psychologist, that's just who I am. Like, I'm a very introverted person. Can you tell? No, but I am very, like, introverted, and I'm just quiet. I've been that way since birth, since I was a little girl. Just quiet to myself, scoping out shit, right? And reading people. And so dates to me feel very awkward. So I feel like the guy that is for me, like my twin flame, whatever you want to call it, like my soul partner, my soulmate, he has to be very unique. Like he has to be sent from God, from the universe, where it's just like we automatically click. Like he gets me, I get him. Like, yeah, we see each other, like we hear, you know, not too much explanation. Like I feel like I shouldn't have to explain who the fuck I am to a person. We should just automatically get each other in that way. Not to say there's not room for understanding and learning about a person, but I ain't got time for all that shit. Keeping track of time. Yeah, it's just like either you get it or you don't, you know. Y'all don't be having time for shit. And I lose interest. Like, I lose interest in dudes so quick because of that dumb shit, yo. I do. I lose interest very quickly. So it's not that I can't be in a relationship, because I very much can. I could have been married and with kids and all of that. It's just, I push a lot of guys away. I just like, nah, bro. Not my type. And it can be going well up until a certain point. Then it's just not. So that was my last relationship. And that relationship lasted for 3 years. So we dated from like 2014 to 2017. It's a very intense relationship. I feel like, yeah, he got me. We got each other, but it was so intense that shit was toxic, yo. That's how intense it was. It was intense in a good way to the point where it got beyond the good and it was just too bad. that we had to part ways for our own sanity and our own fucking livelihood and survival. Okay. So yes, I feel good being single, but yeah, there are parts of me that oftentimes just wonder what it's like to be partnered. More specifically, to be a mother. It's a bigger part of me that kind of is craving that sense of motherhood, being a mother. And I remember someone commenting on my post. This guy said, he was African. He's like, "Oh, you can adopt." Get the fuck out of my face, okay? No woman born with a womb has a preference to adopt, right? Unless some other shit going on. But nah, ain't nothing going on here. Like, everything works here in my body, right? So I should be able to produce a child from my body with a guy. But it's not going to be some random guy. It got to be, a guy that I feel is my life partner. And we can communicate effectively with each other and work shit out. And don't be on that bullshit, right? You know what I'm saying? Because I have to cut your ass off. And I just got low tolerance for the bullshit, okay? Okay, don't try me. Alright. Would you date outside of your race? Not my preference. It's definitely not my preference. But in terms of my ethnic background, I've dated outside my ethnic background. I've dated Nigerian. I've dated Ghanaian. I've dated Ivory Coast. I've dated Haitian. I've dated Puerto Rican. Yeah. But white... That's the thing. If I go to the extent of dating a white person, he is going to have to be Superman. Symbolically speaking. Like the standards is going to be just much higher for a white man because I feel like that's not my preference. Right? So he's going to have to jump through a lot of hoops, you know what I'm saying, with me. And it's just going to be hard. It's going to be much more difficult for him to like just get to my sphere, to permeate that spear or that wall that I have up, which means like it's gonna have to really be meant to be. If it's a white man, for him to make it through all of those hoops, because a black man already got it difficult trying to, just a man in general, right? It's difficult. I feel like for a man to connect with me on that deep spiritual level. Not so much in a practical sense. I think that's easy. But in a romantic sense, right? And in a dating long-term situation sense, it's hard. A lot of men just can't do it. I make it difficult on purpose. Not really like, I feel like not consciously though, because it just comes automatic for me. But yeah, so it's going to be even more difficult, I think, for a white man to do that. So if he makes it through all of those hoops, it's like, okay, it's probably meant to be. But I can't say I'm not. I mean, there are white men who are physically attractive. I can't say that. I think it's just a matter of people, right? People have certain physical characteristics, being tall, for example, is one. That's attractive, a man being tall. Not too goddamn tall, no damn giant now. No goddamn 8 feet tall or 7 feet tall. But, a tall man who takes care of himself, right? Who's in shape. Who just looks good, right? Who has certain physical characteristics. Who's clean, nice teeth and pretty smile and attractive eyes and, just charming, So... I think a white man could have a shot, because it starts with the physical attraction, right? If I'm physically attracted to him, and then I feel like his energy isn't a direct threat to who I am, as a black woman in this society, like, could work. Wouldn't be my preference, but I think it could work. Clearly, you gotta be smart, no matter the race. Like, you just can't be no dumbass nigga. You just can't. You can, but it wouldn't go well for you. See, it wouldn't go well for you if you are dumb. That's just like men who propose, right? They throw themselves at me in their beta males and they want to submit to me. It's not going to go well for you. And then it's not going to go well for me, you know. So, no, not my type. You got to be assertive. You have to be intelligent. You have to know how to articulate yourself, you know. You got to know who the fuck you are. Have a sense of dignity and pride about yourself. Yeah, I can't date a man that becomes my doormat. That is not a good situation. You're going to be fucked up, okay? It's just going to be like an unequal balance of power there, I think. That I know I will definitely take advantage of, but I wouldn't want to take advantage of, and it will become annoying to me. I've talked about this before about like me, like the idea of me dating a submissive man or a beta male. Like, no, I wouldn't want to be in that position. Like, it would turn me off. I would get so agitated. Like, I would treat you and discard you as trash, right? It just wouldn't work. But then for men, like submissive men who are into that kind of fetish, they like being mistreated, humiliation, or berated, you know, that kind of turns them on. So that it just wouldn't, no. Okay, just no. All right, moving on along, all right? Favorite TV show? I don't watch TV, right? I do not have cable or Netflix. Not my thing. I do have internet. So I am able to like watch shows like on YouTube. I follow certain social media personalities, one of which is this tribe called Carbon Nation. That's the kind of things I'm interested in. It's interesting, though, of course, it's not perfect. No one is perfect. It's some things that have been happening with that tribe recently, and the tribal leader is fucking in jail right now. But yeah, I like mystical things like that. But there are other social media personalities that I follow too, other vloggers. But TV, no. I can't watch TV. I never really watched TV. That's a funny thing. I never really watched TV like that. Even when like I grew up in a house, and of course there were TVs and like a TV in every room, and my family members would watch TV, and of course like I would watch shows like Martin, right? Because that's just was the show that the family watched, like Martin, Wheel of Fortune, shit like that. But I've never been the one to get sucked up into watching TV. I can't do it. I just can't. And that's a good thing. I think it's a part of my brain that won't allow me to watch TV. Or I just can't get sucked up into it. Right? I can try. Like, I've tried to watch certain shows that people rave about. And how do y'all are able to just, like, how can your attention be sustained to watch this garbage? Alright, moving along. Next question. Do you smoke weed? No, I do not. Believe it or not, I don't smoke, period, at all. I do not smoke. I do have a glass of wine from time to time. And my choice wine is, I betrayed Pinot Gris. Not completely, though. But that used to be my favorite. And then I switched to red wine. So I like this South African red wine now. But smoking, no. Granted, I used to smoke. I definitely used to burn the fuck down. But it's been 4 years now. Next question. What country would you live abroad? I have never left the U.S. I've been to Canada. But Canada don't count. So I can't definitively say which country that I would live, but I do have my eyes on certain countries based on research and what I've heard. Like countries like in the tropics, Mexico, maybe countries in Central America, South America, countries in West Africa, just anywhere but the U.S. I'm open. Like, that's one thing I am open to. So I may seem like a very, strict, kind of straight and narrow-minded person things have to be a certain kind of way, but not necessarily. Like, I'm open to a lot of shit. I can be very spontaneous. In fact, I am that kind of person. I can just pick up and go at the drop of a dime, you know? I'm that kind of person. And I'm open-minded, like, when it comes to, like, you know, just visiting different places, going here, going there. Like, I don't have any restrictions. I'll probably go anywhere in the world. I don't care. Do I want children? Yes, clearly I do. And my answer to this question has changed over the years, because I remember, like, when I was back in grade school, I said I didn't want kids. Well, when I was in high school, like senior high school, it was like, I said I wanted 0 children. But then I remember, like, before that, when I was younger, I said I wanted like 5 children. So it kind of like fluctuates. But I want children. I want to see what it's like to carry a child in my womb and have a baby and be a mother and nurture and breastfeed. And I want to experience that. And I just want to experience it with the right person who's going to be respectful and who is not conditioned and who is not brainwashed. Because that's the issue. A lot of these men, like, when I get to interact with them, like on a dating site, or if they make it beyond that to like us chatting by phone or in person, like, they are so mechanical and they're so I don't want a man that's a robot that thinks like the majority of men in pop culture think as it relates to women and their perspective on women, how they treat. I don't want that kind of man, and I can sniff that shit out many miles away. I don't want men who watch that damn life coach KS. No. Stay the fuck away from me. I don't leave that kind of thinking. I don't like men like that. I want a man that I can feel a sense of security with, and knowing that it's shit gonna be stable over time, and he's not just jumping around to this motherfucker and that motherfucker. He doesn't have a sense of direction, right? He's not clear on who he is, and he's just out there, just whatever. No, that doesn't create a sense of safety for me. Not to say that I'm opposed to polygamy, right? Structured polygamy, right? Having more than one wife for a man. I'm not saying I'm opposed to that, but it has to be a sense of structure and stability, right? A lot of these men don't do it right. They're just out there willy-nilly it or whatever. And the whole thing about abandoning child, that's the biggest thing. A lot of men, just their mentality makes them fall victim to that kind of behavior, right? Of just not taking responsibility and not having a degree of loyalty. I'm a loyal person. If I'm loyal to you and you disloyal to me, it's not going to be good for you. Right? And so men experience that, and they complain about, oh, women with the child support. Listen, I'm not that kind of woman that's going to run out and put your ass on child support. Like, for me, that is not going to take to that in terms of revenge. That's not revenge for me, right? My revenge goes on a whole deeper spiritual level than fucking child support. Child support is nothing, okay? Because I think this is the thing. Some women, granted, they probably need a man financially, right, to help support them and the child. They feel obligated to the financial support from the man, so they go and they put the man on child support if things don't work out right, and they say, oh, you can't see the child. It's like, I can't even begin to say on camera, okay, how things will be for such a man that betrays me or let alone my child. But I can say that I will always be good. So anyway, let's move on. What are your views on Pan-Africanism? Okay, so I identify myself as a Pan-Africanist, which basically, a lot of people don't really know what that is, but it's a person basically who is a part of a movement to unite people of African descent across the world, across the globe. And it's putting Africa first. It's putting African culture first above anything else, right? You have Christians, you have Muslims and Buddhists, and you have people who have all these different identities that they ascribe to, and they put that as a priority above other things. But with Pan-Africanism, you put your African race, your African identity, shall I say, above everything else, first and foremost. And it is a conscious effort, decision that you make every single day. It's a political decision too, to delve deeper into who you are, the African self, and your culture, your heritage, and it's just simple, just that. So my views on Dr. Umar. A lot of people ask me this because at one point I was at the forefront on social media, where there was some controversy surrounding me supporting him publicly, and people were then attacking me publicly because of my public support of Dr. Umar Johnson and his mission to build the FDMG Academy. And so I did fall back a bit from making videos, especially with his name in the title, for political reasons. And so people had assumed that I just stopped supporting him and the mission, and that's not true. I still do support Dr. Umar Johnson. I care about him. I care about the mission. I respect him, so support hasn't gone anywhere. Though I do think he need to get his shit together. He need to get his shit together, because I think, obviously we all have our weaknesses, our flaws, and I think his biggest is just the popularity that he's amassed over the years, and that feeds your ego, which can create cognitive distortions. Sometimes it makes you think that you're above everything, even the law. And it takes things out of perspective, right? It distorts your judgment. It distorts your view of the world and your perspective of yourself in relation to other people, right? Not to say that one can esteem themselves to a high position. I mean, you are who you are. So if you're great, you're just going to be great, right? And you should know that and walk in that greatness. But I think it can be a distraction. It being the fame, right? And all the accolades that you receive from people and the worshiping that you receive as a conscious leader, that could be very distorting, and can be very distracting from achieving those milestones that you need to, right? And being focused on the mission, right? You just get pulled in so many different directions, because it's in that space, it's very energizing. It's very stimulating, right? On a physiological level, right? It's could you imagine being this person that people look up to, right? And they esteem very highly, and you recognize that your words do carry power, and people do latch on to everything you say. And when you show up in different places, it's just your worship, being that person, it could create this false perception that you have arrived to a certain extent, like you are there, right? There's nothing else that needs to be done because you're there, right? And in a sense, you are there. Maybe that was something that innately, or psychologically, emotionally, that you crave in your life, right? You had a deficit. You needed that to be fulfilled in your life. That attention, that sense of pride, that sense of being important. You needed that, and then you get it. So what more else do you need to do, right? It could be one's line of thinking, especially for black people who have been labeled as second class, and black men who have been deemed to be not a man, right? When you reach the point that, okay, you're respected, You're seen as a full person. You're seen as a man. You're esteemed as God almost, right? It's just like, all right, you made it. Mama, I made it. What more do I need to do? So I think, yeah, that can be a distraction and debilitating. And a big reason why he hasn't manifested what he needs to manifest in terms of his vision with regard to the school, the African-Centered Academy. And then, this is true. There's no way around it. You got men that think that they can just go and be and live without a woman. That's not how you were made. And if you're preaching one thing, right? Because Pan-Africanism, yes, it's a political movement, right? It's also a religion. And you're preaching one thing, but then you're living something totally different. You're contradicting yourself. You're not in alignment with divinity, with what you're supposed to be, where you are supposed to be. There is a resistance. Why is there a resistance? Why hasn't this man who is pushing 50 years old found a wife, a partner? It's about finding a life partner, right? A significant other, someone who can walk that journey with you. And I know he throws out these idioms to say consciousness over cookies and politics over punani and all this bullshit. I say it's bullshit. It sounds funny. People laugh at it. But again, I'm a person who likes to break things down, critique, and analyze things. And if you want to talk politics, that's a contradiction. If you're proclaiming to be a man who is conscious and you're walking in that degree of consciousness, part of that is, and he says this all the time, right? When it comes to dating, right? He's opposed to black men dating outside of the race, right? That goes along with being conscious. One would say that you can't be a conscious man or a woman. You can't say that you're conscious, politically conscious, if you're dating outside your race, right? How can then, in the same vein, you say that you are conscious? You're walking in the purpose and for which that you're supposed to walk in, but then at the same time, you're contradicting yourself by, in a sense, saying that you don't need a woman. Because the longer you go without being partnered, you're essentially saying you don't need a woman, a counterpart, a life partner. Knowing that you are such of influence to so many people, especially young people looking up to you, and when you say things like consciousness over cookies and politics over punani, you set this hierarchy as if they're separate. Well, really, they're one and the same. They go hand in hand, right? Who you choose to marry and the fact that you choose to marry, more so, right? Because his stance is, okay, who you choose to marry, meaning dating inside your race, is a political decision. But choosing to marry versus not marry is also a political decision too. They're one and the same. And you're making a conscious decision to not marry a black woman, to not marry at all, to just go out there and who knows what he's doing behind closed doors. How are you getting your fucking sexual needs met? Just fucking. Right? You're choosing not to marry a black woman. He has not married a black woman. So it's still one of the same, and that goes along with being politically conscious. If you're going to claim yourself to be a political conscious leader, then yes, I have more respect for a man, a black man, who is married to a black woman. It's symbolic. People look up to you. People need to see that. Black men, women, children need to see black men and women together. Especially for him being a public figure. Need to see that, yes, this is possible. Right? And it's not about, politics and then romance. Like he says, revolutionary or a revolution over romance. No, they're the same. A black man choosing and acting upon a decision to be with a black woman, making that decision and acting upon it and actually doing it, That is revolution. I've said this before when I was dating the fucking fake ass Black Panther dude, and we were talking about all the problems affecting the black community and the solutions. For me, I can give a fuck about the problems. We already know the problems. What's the point in rehashing what the problems are? Let's talk about the solutions. And I said, the biggest threat to the white dominant power structure is for the black man and woman to unite and procreate and just live our fucking life happily ever after. If you can do that, then you can fucking overcome white supremacy. We talk about building institutions, physical buildings, as in schools and banks and supermarkets. And yes, that is important in terms of having control over those resources and not being reliant upon white people to be responsible for the educating the minds of young black children or feeding us healthy food. Those institutions are important, but the most important institution is that of marriage. Coming together as black man and black woman, and you can't even fucking do that shit. If you can't even fucking come together as a black man and black woman, how the fuck can you build a school? You cannot. You are a fucking walking contradiction. That is, for me, like, it irks me. And yes, I do support his mission. Of course, I do love Dr. Umar Johnson, right? When you love somebody, you just always love them, right? So I can't say I've turned my back on him, because I do care, but to hear him say that, I can see that he's slipping away, and he's saying things that get this visceral reaction, right? It's comical, but how is that helping the progressive people, right? You have to be conscious and break down and really analyze what your words are saying. What are your words? What does that mean? You can't create this dichotomy between political consciousness and romanticism with the black. They're the same, right? All of those different constructs and factors that he mentioned, right? The issues that negatively impact the black community. And he goes and he lists the school to prison pipeline, right? He lists education, and in every industry there's issues, right? Within the medical industry and the food industry, you can go on and on. But yes, we can't neglect that there's problems between the black man and the black woman. That's the core. We're talking about the institution of family. Not just marriage, but family as a whole. So you can't create this dichotomy as if building the institution of family is separate from acting upon and being politically conscious. You can't. They're one and the same. But that's his level of ignorance. And also, I think that he's speaking, when a person starts to reveal themselves, then you can see who they truly are. And you can see that for him, it's never been about the institution of marriage, of family. Is he truly about the business of building black community? Because we know that building the black community starts with the family unit in and of itself, which he has many issues with, because he has 2 children that he has not raised and he has abandoned, and he's never been married to a black woman. We got to start there first. Can't separate that. It's a walking contradiction. Yes, I have very much respect for black leaders who are married to a black woman, who have a black family, who have not given up, who know what it takes. But as I was saying, that it speaks to his character, because he is no different than rappers who objectify women, right? You can tell what a man is after. He's not after fucking building a sustained relationship with a black woman. He's after the what she can give to him. That's what he's driven by, the sexual aspect. Fucking. It's clear as day. If you don't even make a statement, consciousness over cookies, you can see what you're clearly about. The fuck are you saying? Is it about the cookies or is it about family? Building a relationship? Building the institution of family? Which one is it? The cookies obviously will come along with building a family, right? When you have the woman, you have a woman in the house, that's in-house pussy, as they say. But to objectify a woman in that regard, to itemize that part of her being, right? And make a whole fucking stupid ass slogan out of it to try to create this dichotomy between politics and his work as a racial political leader and his interests really in what's between the black woman's legs. You're making it clear that you're not interested in building family. That's why I think a lot of people have lost interest in Dr. Umar Johnson and consider him to be a joke. Sounds funny, but this is serious. This is fucking serious. We know how important it is for a child, a black child, to be raised by a black mother and a black father in the same household. We know how important black love is. That's why he can't get it right in the universe. I hate to say it, but it's as clear as day. It's not me speaking this upon him. It's stating the obvious truth that he will never be able to open that school, because if you're going to say that you're operating out of a certain paradigm, out of a certain spirituality, and you're using spirituality as a means to promote this false hope, right, of creating this institution, build this institution, but then you're contradicting yourself, because really that's not the premise that you're operating from. To say that you care about children, but you don't care about the women that birth the children, essentially, you don't. Because if you did, your life will reflect that. How can you say you care about black women when you have two black baby mothers that you don't give a damn about? It's a fucking walking contradiction. It's not hatred. A person can look at this, oh, you're hating. Nobody fucking hate. Hate what? There's nothing to hate about you. It's not hating you. It's pointing out these clear contradictions within your personality, within your character, within who you are as a person. Your proclaimed mission. You're contradicting yourself. But let's keep going. Are you still opening? I have 2 more questions to get to. Are you still opening a BDSM club in New York? I do plan to open a BDSM club, and there has been a growing interest of people who have, submitted like their inquiry form via my website, stating their interest in being a part of the opening of this club that I put out there. So yes, I do plan to still open a BDSM club, because I feel that it would be a community. It would allow us to come together for people who participate in this alternative sexual lifestyle, or many different alternative sexual lifestyles, to come together. And I'm about sexual freedom too, and understanding. And so I think it just will create a separate space to allow for that expression to happen. Where do you see, and this is the final question, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Obviously elevating. I'm always going to keep elevating and going higher and higher, improving upon myself. Every day I am challenged to improve upon myself, whether I want to or not. So I definitely see myself in a different space. Probably even physically. I don't even think I'm going to be here in this physical space where I live now 5 years from now. Number one, because this is an apartment in Upper East Side, and the rent, it doesn't make sense, I think, to pay $2,300 a month in rent when I can devote that towards a mortgage or owning, right? You think at the end of the year, how much, if I'm paying $2,300 a month in rent, how much is that at the end of the fucking year, yo? Do the math. 2,000 times 12. Just 25K? Like, are you freaking... No, I cannot do this. Doesn't make good economic sense to do so. And I've always said that I do want to own a brownstone in Brooklyn. So that's like one of my dream properties that I want to own. I see myself traveling the world. I see myself with children. Like, I do want children. I see myself with a family. I was about to say something. No, but I honestly, I do have a crush on Dr. Umar Johnson. Like, my crush is still there. Like, my affinity towards him. The mission is always going to be there, but like, even him, like, I do genuinely, like, I'm attracted to Dr. Umar Johnson. Though I've never seen him in person, but I obviously see him on social media. I do like him. I think he has great intentions for the black community. I think he means well. I think that he needs to refocus, and he might need to be humbled. Every person at some time in their professional public career is humbled, because you gotta, like, reset, you know. The energy force that was driving him when he first started, I think, was much powerful than where it is now, right? Because sometimes the limelight can dampen that energy that is needed, right? You have to have that balance, and he's like off kilter a bit. He's imbalanced, which creates a distraction for him, I think. That imbalance. So I think he needs some feminine energy in his life, real feminine energy, and I think really it's up to the universe, like, to orchestrate that, right? But it's also up to him too, because the universe can create an alignment, and you can completely miss it as a person. You can completely, you missed the boat. You just missed it. The ship was sent. And you didn't even see the ship being sent, right? And I think for him, I think his spiritual meter is off. People talk about spirituality and being perceptive and keen to be able to make decisions that is appropriate for them and their well-being. But sometimes you miss it. You don't see what's something that's right before your eyes. Because of past, bad experiences that have happened. I get it. He suffered a lot, I think. Especially with that whole scandal, that whole conscious stripper scandal that he had to go through, And you just don't know who the fuck to trust, I think. But at this point, I don't think he has much to lose. I mean, from what I've seen, Dr. Umar Johnson is, like, in a very bad predicament with that school, and it's not looking good. I think, and optimistically speaking, right, just speaking from hope and trying to aspire optimism, I think that he is trying to see things through a good lens, right? But at some point, you have to ground yourself back to reality. And you just got to be real with shit. Keep it real. And honest. And the fact that, he's behind. His taxes are increasing. He gets donations, but not at the extent that he should. That school, like, is not looking good. You need money. Point blank period. You need money to operate an institution, a school. He's purchased the property, but he's not paying the taxes on it. He's not keeping up with the required registrations as far as the 501c3 status. He's distracted. He has a lot going on. I think he has a lot to manage. He's not honest and clear with himself. And for him to be a psychologist, like, of all people, like, come on, self-care, you should know better than anybody else, and just keep it real and keep it grounded. And I think just being a man also interferes. This whole ideology of what it means to be a man, and you got to be strong and wear this facade, and it's fake. At some point, you got to humble yourself and keep it real. and take some chances. Take some chances on love. Open your eyes and see. But let me stop. But yes, I do. I crush on Dr. Umar Johnson. I like him. I like him a lot, and it would be nice to meet him in person. Anyway, I'm about to end this video. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I love you guys. Bye.